I think he has that mindset in preparation for the Pittsburgh Pro. He really needs that show for a few reasons. The upcoming Pittsburgh Pro, as far as Nick Walker's concerned, this is probably the most important show in his career to date. He needs this. He needs to reestablish himself because in many people's eyes, uh, they was people are starting to write him off. Going into the show initially, we knew it was going to be a good lineup, and there's probably going to be even more people before all is said and done jumping into the show. But it was an expected showdown for the most part, in most people's minds, between Nick Walker and Martin Fitzwater. Now, last year, Nick did beat Martin, but it was questionable. Truth be told, it was Nick Walker's worst appearance. Uncharacteristically, he didn't bring conditioning like we are used to seeing with Nick Walker. Wins nonetheless. Pulls out of the Olympia, so that was like the nail in the coffin. That's when people really started to write him off. He, in some people's eyes, was expected to redeem himself at the show to beat Martin Fitzwater. Yes, Martin Fitzwater has improved since last year, but it also appears as though Nick is back on track and he's looking pretty impressive in update picks. People started getting a little more confidence in Nick again, and we have people leaning towards him coming back and proving that he's better than Martin Fitzwater and winning the show convincingly. All of a sudden, there's a wrench thrown in the form of Derek Lunsford, who just came off an Arnold Classic win, avenging his Olympia title loss to Samson Dowder just a few months earlier, bringing in best package to date as far as Derek Lunsford is concerned. He is now going into the Pittsburgh Pro, so it changes the dynamics. People are changing their opinions now. Most people, many people, are leaning towards Derek Lunsford. Derek Lunsford is probably the favorite now going into Pittsburgh Pro, and it's not surprising. He is a former Mr. Olympia. He just beat the man who just beat him for the Olympia title. So that would establish him pretty much as the favorite going in. What happens now? Nick Walker doesn't pull off a win at the Pittsburgh Pro. Not only he needs the win to redeem himself, he needs the win to go to the Olympia. Okay, what if he doesn't win? Well, there's a New York Pro the following week. He won 2 New York Pros already, 3. Not a bad thing to put on your resume. The New York Pro is at the moment the third biggest show in bodybuilding, formerly Night of Champions. But there's whisper now Derek Lunsford might be doing the New York Pro. Like I said, it's the third biggest show in bodybuilding. It's only a week after, and it's a very close proximity to each other. It's a drive away. Nick would obviously jump into New York Pro, hoping to secure a win there and his ticket back to the Olympia. But what if Derek does that show also and pulls off the unthinkable? Wins the New York Pro also, which would leave Nick hanging. He would be forced to do another show if he wants to go to Olympia. The California Pro is the following week, and it's not always the strongest lineup. That could be a good option. But if that scenario would happen to play out, when Nick doesn't get his qualification at Pittsburgh and something is thrown in his way, there's a roadblock for him winning in New York, then he has to go do another show. Let's say he does qualify, but he does all those shows. Even if he does just has to do New York and qualifies at New York, but doesn't win Pittsburgh. It wasn't in his plans in the first place. Don't know how that would have an effect on him. You talk about peaking. It's tough to peak multiple times. Yes and no. It's an individual thing, really. We don't know until the competitor tries to do it. We don't know what's going to happen with Derek. Derek might not. Well, he might be able to peak multiple times in short spans, no problem. But his body might not be able to do that, and it might backfire on him. That's always a possibility. And same thing goes for Nick. If he wins the Pittsburgh Pro, he can just solely focus on the Olympia, maybe take a little rest, give his body a little bit of a breather for a moment, and then go full throttle. But if he has to do multiple shows, he's never done shows in close proximity, multiple shows, so we don't know how his body would respond to that. Maybe that would work out better for him. Maybe it would be a detriment for him. We don't know. I rambled on a bit over there. What it comes down to it is that as far as Nick Walker goes, he needs to redeem himself. He needs to look at the Pittsburgh Pro as the Olympia. And I think he has that mindset in preparation for the Pittsburgh Pro. He really needs that show for a few reasons. He doesn't want to do, I don't think he wants to do multiple shows, and he needs to win that, and he needs to win it in a grand fashion to really reestablish himself. We only got about 6 weeks to go to see what happens in Pittsburgh. Right now, we have a very strong lineup. Got an Olympia caliber lineup. And I think when all is said and done, by the end of the day, we're going to see one or two more big names jump into that show. If you agree or disagree with anything I've said, please let me know in the comments section. This is Michael Diamond. I'd like to thank you for watching Muscle Central.